Welcome back to The Explainer. Today, we're going on a really fascinating journey into exactly how modern organizations are completely upgrading the way they do research. We're talking about handling an increasingly complex world by leaving behind all that outdated guesswork. Instead, the smartest teams out there are using highly structured frameworks and augmented intelligence to basically see into the future. Let's get into it.
So think about this pressing problem for a second. We are all dealing with a massive modern crisis. We have way too much data, and it's moving way too fast. Whether you're tracking global supply chains or just trying to figure out why users keep clicking away from your app, the ground is literally constantly shifting underneath us. For example, recent supply chain data shows that an extreme weather event can disrupt global networks in under 6 days. If your traditional planning cycle takes 6 months, yeah, you're already way too late.
To make sense of all this, here's our roadmap. We'll look at the decision-making crisis, AI and strategic foresight, bringing those scenarios to life, the atomic research framework, testing that method out, and finally, ethics and human oversight.
All right, starting off with part 1, the decision-making crisis.
When you look at traditional planning, it's just human researchers manually gathering data. And honestly, that usually results in a slow, biased, super narrow perspective that simply can't scale. Augmented planning, on the other hand, lets us operate in real time. We're leveraging AI to process volumes of data that a human team could never realistically read through in a single lifetime, let alone a single business quarter.
Moving right along to part 2, AI in strategic foresight. So how does this actually work? By following a step-by-step AI augmented process, teams can automatically and continuously scan the horizon for weak signals of future disruption. You start by designing really smart prompts looking for early signs of change. You feed the AI fresh, real-time online data so you aren't stuck behind a knowledge cutoff. You focus that scanning on relevant domains like climate or tech. And then you iterate often. This means foresight practitioners can finally stop manually sorting data and start focusing on creative sense-making. Now this is wild. You know how everyone complains about AI hallucinations? We can actually reframe that major AI flaw as a massive benefit. In a domain like foresight, where imagination is absolutely essential, the fact that an AI might occasionally connect dots that don't logically belong together can actually spark creatively disruptive scenarios. It forces human planners to stretch the limits of what they consider a plausible future, breaking us right out of our own predictable thinking patterns.
Let's put this into practice. We can use AI to analyze incredibly complex business continuity plans. Take a hypothetical automaker, we'll call them velocity motors, that's rapidly shifting to electric vehicles. An AI can quickly generate ideas and evaluate trade-offs across 3 specific metrics: efficiency, which is optimizing resources; resilience, or the capacity to withstand stress; and prominence, which is generating positive market attention. This allows resource-constrained teams to rapidly build out incredibly detailed tactical plans.
Part 3, bringing scenarios to life.
So how do we make all these abstract, macro-level scenarios actually feel real to the stakeholders who need to make decisions? Enter generative agents. These are synthetic personas. Basically, they're AI models instructed to adopt a highly specific set of characteristics. Because large language models are trained on a massive swath of human behavior, they can simulate incredibly authentic perspectives. This lets us test macro scenarios against accurate human simulations, at scale, and for a fraction of the cost of running traditional massive focus groups.
Okay, let's look at a fascinating case study from the European Parliament Research Service. They envisioned a future scenario in the year 2050 where space debris and unregulated satellites have become a major global crisis. To understand the real human impact, they had the AI generate Matteo. He's a 44-year-old off-grid farmer in France. They gave him a family, a specific education, and a full personality profile. He's stoic, community-oriented, the whole 9 yards. And then they literally interviewed this AI agent.
And listen to what Matteo said. European space policy must serve all Europeans, not just the digital elite living in glass and metal bubbles. Crazy, right? That quote isn't from a real human. It was generated entirely by the AI agent when asked about future space legislation. The agent reasoned that, as a farmer, Matteo would worry about space junk falling into his fields. This instantly grounds a highly academic, macro-level concept into a tangible, emotional narrative that policymakers can actually connect with.
Okay, zooming way in for part 4, the atomic research framework.
Moving from global policy down to digital product design, there is a massive difference between messy, traditional research and atomic UX. Traditional research is literally like a crammed closet. You run a survey, write a 40-page PDF report, throw it in a shared drive, and guess what? Nobody ever reads it again. Atomic research, however, breaks complex knowledge down into its most basic elements, like a chemist breaking down compounds. It transforms isolated data points into a neatly organized wardrobe of structured, searchable decisions.
Atomic research relies entirely on 4 iterative pillars. First, experiments. You run a specific test to gather targeted data. Second, facts. You document the unbiased truth of what happened, zero subjective opinion allowed. Third, insights. This is where the human comes in to connect the dots and figure out the why behind the facts. And finally, recommendations. Deciding what informed action to take based on those insights. It turns a chaotic pile of user feedback into a continuous cycle of real learning.
Let's see it in action. Part 5, Testing the Atomic Method. Researchers wanted to know if a more lighthearted call-to-action button would perform better on a Hulu landing page. So they ran an experiment testing their baseline button, which said "Start your trial for free," against a new variation that said "Join the fun." In the facts stage, the hard data showed Hulu's baseline button captured 37% first-click engagement. It absolutely crushed the alternative "Join the fun" button, which only managed a measly 16%.
But wait, the Atomic data revealed another crucial fact. Users hesitated heavily with the new variation. It took them an average of 31.2 seconds to click that lighthearted "Join the Fun" button. 31 seconds is a lifetime on the internet. When presented with the original, straightforward "Start your trial for free" baseline, users clicked in just 18.7 seconds.
By strictly adhering to those facts, the team unlocked an undeniable insight. The baseline worked better because it established immediate, crystal-clear expectations about what would happen next, a free trial. Joining the fun was just too vague, causing friction and hesitation. And this right here is the power of the Atomic framework. It stops teams from making changes based on a gut feeling that a lighter tone might be better, and forces them to rely on structured proof.
And finally, wrapping up with Part 6, Ethics and Human Oversight.
Look, with all these incredible new capabilities, we naturally have to navigate some real practical challenges. For instance, if an AI's training data lacks diverse representation, the scenarios it generates might give you exclusionary advice. You're also dealing with its reliance on historical patterns, the very real danger of your team over-relying on automation, and the fact that just tweaking a prompt slightly can give you drastically different, sometimes unreliable results.
At the end of the day, AI cannot replace the critical thinking, empathy, and contextual nuance that a human analyst provides. Whether you're interpreting the emotional resonance of an AI persona like Mateo, or deciding what feature to build next based on Hulu click data, these structured frameworks and AI tools are designed to augment our intelligence, not substitute it. The human in the loop is absolutely the most important part of the equation. I'll leave you with this provocative thought to consider as you rethink your own research methods. In an age where the sheer volume of data is only going to grow and the pace of change is only going to accelerate, adopting these highly structured AI-augmented methodologies is no longer a luxury, it's a necessity. Are you ready for it? Thanks for joining me for this explainer. Keep learning, and I'll catch you next time.